This is episode 21 of Discography Discussion. Thank you for listening and for subscribing. If you are not a subscriber, you can find everything Discography Discussion at discussmetal.com. We are on Google Play. We are on iTunes. We are on...
What's up? This is Josh Toomey from the Talk To Me podcast, and I've got a message out there for Dan Terra. You need to come over to my side, come over to the good side, and listen to some Pantera. Love what Dimebag Darrell does with that guitar. He feels the guitar. Every ounce of his emotions and body go through his hands into the pickups, out the Randall speakers, and into the amphitheaters so that everybody could hear what he had to say. So you need to love and respect Dimebag Darrell. Also, you need to listen to what Rex is doing, because Rex is a bass player. Jesus Christ, you go listen to those bass lines under Dime's solos and you will just completely be blown away. And the man, Vinnie Paul, behind the drum kit out there, millions of tons of steel coming at you. So innovative in what he does. And Dan, if you cannot understand what I'm talking about, you just might not know music. And you've proven that by saying that Zayo is your favorite band. So we're probably never going to be on the same page on this one. So Dan, I'm coming for you. Pantera's coming for you. The Cowboys from Hell are coming for you. And we'll talk to you soon.
What's up, Eric?
Nothing.
I lost all my thunder.
I like your shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say nice.
I really like your
Thanks,
shirt.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Big
Oh,
fan.
yeah. This is
Same here.
I can't remember what tour it was, 2014.
Yeah.
I got the poster on my wall. Yeah, 14 with Mastodon or Slayer. I don't remember. I've seen them 3 times.
Dude, Mastodon's good enough for me. I'd take a
That was
Mastodon Goes Your show any day.
I think that's what it was. Mastodon, Gojira, Kvelterak, or whatever their band is called.
Yeah.
Kvelt or something like that. I don't know. The guy had like wings on for half the set. It was weird.
That's cool. As long as it sounds good,
guess
right?
so. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It sounded okay. I was like, dude, are you going to shake those
Right.
things off or what? Do I sound good to you guys? At least
sound amazing.
Level-wise? Okay.
Who's your internet provider?
It's an interesting thing because I have Comcast or Xfinity,
Okay.
but to be in the basement, I have a TP-Link power line adapter, meaning I plug into my router upstairs into the adapter number 1.
Uh-huh.
That runs through the electrical current into my basement, which is power line adapter number 2, and then out hardwired into my computer. So I'm actually getting my Wi-Fi from upstairs, but it's not so much like a router or an extender down here as a power line adapter.
Okay.
It kicks ass. Before I mean for like a good six months I could hardly. I mean I had to edit my episodes together.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like I just had no connection down here, and I finally figured it out. A buddy of mine was like, "Try this," and it works great.
Power
And it's just
over
like,
Ethernet.
Holy shit!
Yep.
And if you finally figured it out, then you are ready for this episode of Discography Discussion. I am Joe. That is Dan. That is Geoff. That is Erik Hall from Shoot the Shred.
Yeah.
You wanted the shred. You got the shred. What's up, Eric?
We love the shred.
What's happening? You love the shredder? I appreciate it. I love
Yeah,
you
we
guys.
really
I appreciate. First of all, I appreciate you guys having me on. I dig the show, and you guys have had some cool conversations about a lot of bands. Most recently, I listened to the In Flames one, and
Oh, man.
I was kind of on board with you guys for about the timeline that you guys were like, yeah, I'm not so into In Flames anymore. So I was on the same page with you guys there, and especially the most recent album. It's like, why did you guys even put that out?
Right.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about that, but
I had a little bit of alcoholic beverage before that, so yeah.
all good.
It showed.
Yeah, it did.
Even sober though, that would be an adequate representation of their story or their career arc
Sure.
down.
So who are we here to talk about, Eric?
I was going to say the legendary He Is Legend. I'll go with that. The legendary He Is Legend.
Is that
Why
like
not?
the Department of Redundancy department?
Yes, I've been there, and I reside there. I work there. I get health insurance from them and all kinds of stuff. It's a government job. It's cool.
Nice. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
He Is Legend. Like I've been a little bit of a He Is Legend fanboy for years, which doesn't necessarily match up with my metal persona, you know. But I can't deny it, man. You know, good music is good music, and He Is Legend really grabbed me by the balls and has held me there. I've been a huge fan since Suck Out the Poison came out, and I just can't say no.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that,
man. I like this stuff before. So
before what? Before Suck Out the Poison?
Yeah, Suck Out the Poison. Yeah, I know. They kind of went a little too over-polished mainstream rock for me, I guess. I don't know.
So you're an I Am Hollywood kind of guy, Jeff?
You need to read the lyrics.
Yes, I am.
Lyrics are
Don't get me wrong.
You know me. I'm not a lyrics guy. I'm more of a feel guy. So
well, sometimes you need to change your point of view on things.
Is that like you and Pantera, Dan?
Fuck you.
I'm not gonna lie. I Am Hollywood might be my favorite record, but it's not like this is my favorite He Is Legend record. It's like I love putting on I Am Hollywood because it's like legit. It's punk.
You guys are living in the dark. I'm sorry.
Well, I Am Hollywood's just a punk record. Let's be honest.
Not even close.
It's the Meat Puppets in 2004.
Nope, don't give a shit. You're wrong. Sorry, I hate to be that way, but I'm like 3 Steel Reserves in.
21 years of this guy. I'm
Yeah.
still wrong.
Well, I started with this.
I haven't drank that since college, man. You're balling out of control.
No, I'm just
Holy shit.
I'm poor. So
It's $1.50
it's like $1.48 for a tall boy. So
you're not drinking that for pride. That's for sure. You're just like, that's all I got, man. It's cheap.
Yeah,
I can drink it.
It is what it is
For sure.
So He Is Legend started out as they were actually called something else. They were called the Uriah Omen.
Yes.
When they first started. And I remember that because this might be a little too revealing, but I used to be into this band called Dead Poetic.
Oh, man, me too.
Yeah. And they had they posted on their website one day that they had such a fun time out on tour with their buddies in the Uriah Omen. And I guess maybe like 2-3 minutes later, or months, it turned out that the Uriah Omen had been signed to Solid State Records and they had changed their name to He Is Legend. And there was only one record available. It was called, 91... I don't remember the number.
Yeah,
91025.
Yeah. So I listened to that, and I actually liked it because, again, I was listening to shit like Dead Poetic at the time. So it was very enjoyable to me in the sense that it was mainly rock. I would say rock, emo rock, maybe. But... it had this edge to it. It had this hardcore edge because you can't be signed to Solid State Records and not have a little bit of a hardcore edge.
Yeah.
And so that record, kind of impressed me. I wasn't like sign on as a super fan, but you guys want to talk about that record?
Yeah, I do, because that's actually my favorite.
Well, take it away, Geoff.
Oh shit, I'm in trouble now.
I got beer to drink.
Yeah, you do, man. You're way ahead of me because I don't get to drink anything at all. No, I actually really didn't listen to any He Is Legend until I knew we were going to be doing this podcast. It just normally wasn't my cup of tea because most of everything I heard was their newer stuff. And it's just a little too polished, a little too mainstream for me, at least for the sound of it. And then when I was going through on my Spotify playlist and 90125 came up, and I was like, wow, this is a little different. And then... because the first thing I listened to is Scram Toots, and I was like, "Wow, that's it's not
what you were expecting."
No, not at all. Not after hearing everything else that they had. I was like, "Wow, this is something I can have a little fun with." And I think that was probably my other problem too. Is I went in probably as too much of a critical listener.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that would be a good point because you went in listening without having the benefit of following their discography as it went along, because they've changed, but it's been subtle, but where they're at now is really awesome. But from the beginning to now is like a lot of things happened in the gap there. So to have it happen over years would be So if you listen to it all right now,
it's just for sure. It's hard to do it and fast forward. But then I also realized I just needed to chill out a little bit. And just have a little more fun while listening to it. And I did. I mean,
that's exactly what you got to do with them.
I started to enjoy it quite a bit more the more that I was like, oh, fuck it, just put it on, play some Diablo 3 and just, not be the critical listener that I would on, say, something like The Contortionist.
Well,
or Gojira, for that matter.
Right.
And I get that it was a little bit like, because normally whenever I'm recommending bands to people, it's always like, ultra technical, melodic stuff, and whenever I was like, "Hey, Geoff, we're doing He Is Legend this week," he was like, "Okay, cool, I'll check him out." And then like 2 days later, he was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Dude, no, trust me, it's cool. It gets awesome." I think I described it as they're kind of like having fun on the first 2 records, and then
Definitely.
and then you get to you get to Suck Out the Poison, and it's like it goes to a really dark place.
Yeah, that album's a lot heavier than I remember it.
Oh my god, dude! Mushroom River, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But
Well, Eric, you mentioned the changes that happened in their discography. They really just, one thing that stands out is they kind of slow down a little bit on every record.
Yeah. They did. They're more. I'd say they're more in line with like groove stuff. You know, it's like a heavier groove, more more vibe. So much like the atmosphere has changed. And when I had Adam on my podcast, that's one thing I brought up to him was that I noticed a lot of things in the background that he's doing guitar wise with reverb and delays and stuff that are just layered in the back, and he really appreciated that I noticed that, because I think that's one thing that's different from what they used to do and what they've evolved into. I mean, the core members are still there. They've gone through a couple drummers and added a guitar player here and there, but I mean that's the core lineup has evolved into this groovier, heavier, darker, a little bit. I don't know. I wouldn't say they lost the party vibe, but it's still there. If you've ever seen them live, that's just how Skylar is. I mean, that's how they are. But sonically, yeah, they've definitely slowed down a little bit.
well, so on their first release, like the singing wasn't there really.
He's had a weird progressions vocally too.
Absolutely,
I've noticed.
The first record, he really just kind of sounds kind of bad. Like I was in a band in like 2002, 2003, and I sang very similarly to that, and it was one of those, like, I would show it to people and they'd be like, "Oh wow, you guys need to get a singer that can sing," and I was like, that's me
supposed to
singing.
be me.
Yeah, right.
I'm the guy who can sing. What do you think I'm doing it for?
Right, but this is, unlike me, this is somebody that got much better over time. And,
really, he did. I agree with you.
But on this first release, they really weren't He Is Legend yet. Like, they didn't really have that cemented sound. I mean, they had, kind of lyrically, they were closer to what they kind of are now.
Yeah, I think his lyrics have always been there.
Yeah. I don't know if you listened to our episode with Brandon Kellum of American Standards, but we described He Is Legend as kind of a rapey band. The lyrics are kind of rapey, And,
they're definitely weird, and they're kind of. I know what you mean. If you've read them or listened to them or heard them, they're sometimes like plays on words, and they're kind of weird, and they're very rapey, I guess.
It's a little creepy, yeah. It's
sometimes they are.
And I mean, like, what was the song? It's not Scram Toots. It's the one that's right after that.
I have the list up in front of me.
Geoff does too. I'm really bad about doing my research.
You're talking about Suave.
Suave, yeah. And he's all like, just as the line stop, I gave her pills to go to sleep, and
I wonder
my
who
body is so,
he's writing.
My mind is so X-rated. The sex is overrated. You're like,
I wonder
what?
like if he's like into a, I don't know. He's like taking on a character. I mean, like I want to know like. Another thing too, lyrically, which we'll talk about over the course of the albums, there's a lot of like connections drawn lyrically between album to album. I mean, the Gardener. Who the fuck is the Gardener? I don't know. But
the whole parts, China White series. Yeah.
Even then, like there's references to other songs and even some of the more modern releases, the newer releases, which I think is really cool. I think he's a really good lyricist, even if it is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it's a little different, but
I don't remember what album it was, but I was riding with you and your wife, and the word that came out of her mouth was solid gold. It was just, I'm not comfortable listening to this.
That was all Suck Out the Poison. It was Virginia Woolf.
That's right. We're going to get to that a little later.
She had major issues with that.
I gotta say on this album too, on 91025. I mean, guitar wise, being a guitar player, I mean, this album came out when did it come out? 2004, I think. So I was in college. I was probably 21, 20-ish, college era. This, I mean, I think I found out about I Am Hollywood first, and then went back and heard this album. But I mean, that was somewhat inspirational time musically for me. I was starting to become, getting into a little bit heavier music and going down this kind of road.
Right.
And guitar wise for me, something that's always stuck with me and a standout on this album is the very beginning and just the guitar playing in general on either They Decorated for Christmas Early or They're All Dead. That like triplet delay.
Great title. Yeah,
I know. And but it's funny. Like even those titles are how all that metalcore stuff was for a long time. They've kind of gotten away from that, but it's very of the era. But I just wanted to point that song out as something that I heard and was like, whoa, holy shit, man, that's awesome as a guitar player.
Right.
So that kind of hooked me in too. I was like, how did they do that? No, I know.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job. I mean, like I have heard much worse debuts.
Yeah, exactly. You got to think
bands.
about it. It's funny to go back to what they are now, and it was. I mean, I haven't listened to that album specifically in a long time. And again, when I had Adam on the podcast, I went back and listened to it to like just refresh my memory, and I'm like, man, I like them a lot more now. But before, I used to think this is how they sound. This is great,
Right.
And they've just evolved a lot, and for better or worse. But
I don't think for worse at all.
I don't either at all. I really like what they've done.
Have you ever noticed the two at the beginning of that song, the Decorated for Christmas or They're All Dead, earlier They're All Dead? Did you ever notice that like that song has a lot of similarities to New Medicines by Dead Poetic?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Very similar, but it's better somehow. And
they're still around. Dead Poetic is not.
You're right. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, so they get the benefit of the doubt. Like, well, even if it is rip off, but we made it further. So
I don't think it's a rip off. I think it's like we can do this way better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just took it and ran with it.
Absolutely.
So here, listen to this.
So this was a really good debut for the band, and it definitely got me interested. I wasn't like 1,000% on board when I heard it because like. At that time, I was like really into Zao, and still am. But I was really into stuff like Zao and As I Lay Dying and Killswitch Engage and like that kind of stuff. This got me very interested. And whatever they put on I Am Hollywood, I was like really blown away.
Mm-hmm. That was some of the heaviest stuff. I mean, you got to remember my how do I say it? To me. Heavy music isn't. I never grew up listening to like death metal or anything really heavy. So to me, that album was pretty heavy.
Sure,
I just didn't have that. I mean, to me, Slipknot's debut and Iowa were the heaviest things I'd ever heard. I just never got into the darker, heavier stuff that maybe I know about now. I still don't love it all that much, but to me, that was a heavy album.
I can help you with that.
I'm Hollywood. I know.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I'm false metal. I talk about metal all the time, and then I say I've only heard a Risk by Megadeth.
Dude, it's okay. I'm the guy that doesn't like Pantera, so
that's true. Exactly. Exactly.
This is
definitely a heavy album, and it was I mean, to compare the two, to go from their debut to I Am Hollywood. I mean, I think right there is when you notice the production.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can hear that Solid State dollar, behind that,
yeah.
And it was really interesting too because like we talked about on our American Standards episode is that Solid State was like the Christian label, and like He Is Legend couldn't have been like any further from that,
Totally, I remember thinking like these guys cannot be religious band.
They're not like a religious band at all. And
I'm like, I Am Legend, is that a reference to God? And it's like, oh no, not at all actually.
No, it's this book. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
then a crappy movie starring Will Smith.
That's what I said what I meant to say, but you know what I'm saying.
Sure, I get you.
Will Smith, baby.
Singing was way better on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you wonder, like how much, to go from this album to the next album, like how much studio magic was involved. I don't know. I think he got better over the course of the years too. So
it's great.
I mean, studio stuff. I mean, trickery like that. I don't really have a problem with. You're in the studio, you got the money, make it sound good.
Sure,
why not? It's an album. It's not. I mean, live you can do whatever. But I mean,
it was really cool hearing like kind of this like almost like Foo Fighters sound. Yeah, mixed with hardcore, I
think that's why I liked it so much too. Because I never knew it was all like a new thing to me in this style of music. I think these guys stood out among that whole scene of this kind of sound because it had like a lot of really bluesy stuff, and there was some real like jazzy, like guitar lead stuff and breakdowns.
The greatest actor alive or dead.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Exactly, and it gets really heavy too.
Mm-hmm.
My exact review of this album was finally some punk rock hardcore. Oh wait, there's metal too.
it's just a good
because they
mix.
just fall into these random Zao parts, and I'm like, all right, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I think this kind of kicked off my love for music that jumps genres. Like it's not one thing the whole time. I mean, musically, that's what I love. I
It's
love
just
heavy.
heavy.
Yeah, I love things that just sneak some electronics in there. I mean, I'd like things that just grab and make a but that can also sound like shit.
Sure,
if it's not done right. I think these guys.
No, they really captured it on I Am Hollywood, and I mean, there's a reason why it's their most popular album because I don't think it's like super polarizing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. It covers a lot of bases. I saw them a few months ago in March. And they still play that. So they still play I Am Hollywood. They play a lot of these songs, but they play. I think they close with I Am Hollywood.
Well, you have to. It's
and they still do it, and the crowd still goes nuts for it. And they still sound great playing it. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's hard because with I always felt like with He Is Legend that they wanted to be a rock band, but kind of always felt like if they didn't throw the screaming and the breakdowns in, that people wouldn't listen to them. Yeah, and that's a result of being on Solid State Records, early on in your career. That if we don't do these specific things, then nobody's going to give a shit.
Is that the Truthless Heroes syndrome?
A little bit, yeah. Like people just wanted to hear the screaming, and they wanted to hear the breakdowns. They wanted to hear the intensity. And with He Is Legend, though, I found something really special. Like some of the songs I find myself really liking on that record aren't necessarily the ones that everybody else likes. Like I really like Eating a Book.
Oh yeah,
and Dinner with a Gypsy. That's actually my favorite song
Eating a Book is my favorite.
Yeah, and the lyrics are just kind of goofy, and that's really refreshing because I listen to a lot of really fucking serious metal.
Yeah,
and He Is Legend has always just really been refreshing to me because they're they're not super serious. I think they can be emotional in places, but
right.
I think they always kind of keep it light, keep it a little bit more party,
Especially in that time frame again, like they fit that mold. I think they broke out of it, and that's probably why they're still pretty successful. But they fit into that mold of breakdowns, singing. And sonically, they fit into this mold, but they transcended it lyrically because they weren't singing about what the typical metalcore band was singing about.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of emo metalcore stuff.
They weren't talking about Jesus. They weren't talking about their girlfriend. They weren't talking about
the lyrics had a weird. They were like stories. It was weird. It was it fit it in the sound wise, but lyrically, it was like this doesn't really fit, but it fits. So, but you could tell people like it for that reason. That's
they make it fit. Yeah.
So
it's a little rapey.
I was about to say it's like somebody was writing an 80s horror movie and then they said, you know what, this is a bad script, but these are great lyrics.
I can't say make it fit without saying the word rapey.
Wow.
I want to hear Jeff's opinion though, because he's been the biggest mystery to me this entire week, because I keep texting him about He Is Legend and he always gives me really ambiguous answers.
Yeah, that might have been on purpose. Yeah, I'm not loving them as much as the rest of the room, I guess.
Man,
I know, it's shame on me. But
first Callisto and now.
Oh, dude, I couldn't handle Callisto at all. Unfortunately. No, I like this more than Callisto, but the way I looked at it, I was like, he's giving me. At first, I thought he gave me this as a joke. I mean, I know that sounds terrible, but that's my.
No, dude, this is great.
That was my. I'm a lot like Toomey. I don't like saying bad things unless I absolutely have to.
You need to listen to.
Let it out,
It
Geoff.
Hates You.
Say it. It's butt rock, and you can't stand it.
No, you just nailed it on the head, dude.
No way, that's not butt rock.
Well, not this album,
not
but
this
later
album.
on. But later on, it sure as hell gets there. But at least that's my opinion. But I've always been more about the weird technical crap that's coming out of Europe. That's kind of my vibe.
Yeah, this is not that for sure.
That's how he landed the position on the show.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, I have a different background with the type of metal that I like.
Yeah.
And so this just wasn't, I couldn't feel the vibe, and it took me, I probably did more prep work for this episode than I have any of the others, because I was trying to find, different perspectives on when I was listening to it to make me like it more. Because Dan's like, this is so good, and I'm trying to I'm trying to see where he's coming from to find out why he likes it so much. And it really, you guys have mentioned a couple times, it's that party vibe. I think that's what it is. It's just the let loose. And as soon as I stopped being so critical,
right, exactly,
I did enjoy myself more. But this is my second favorite. And then, like I said, I guess I'm going in reverse. I like their older stuff more than I like their newer stuff, and it's not even close.
I'm in the same boat.
Give it time.
I mean,
I felt the same way, but give it time.
But I've never been a rock person ever. Like, rock music just doesn't do anything.
Doesn't scratch the itch. I get it.
Yeah, you know, if I need something that's popular like that, I'm probably going to go more towards like the electronic side of things if I'm ever going to listen to anything popular.
Well, I mean, that's why we're all into metal, right? Because rock didn't just quite do it for us.
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly it.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to load the fucking cannon. On one side, we have Dan. On the other side, we have Erik. I'm going to suck out the poison. I'm going to light the fuse and suck out the poison.
Oh my God, I love Suck Out the Poison. It is like worlds beyond what He Is Legend I even thought was capable of. I mean, okay. So at that time, what year was Suck Out the Poison? 2005?
6.
2005 or 6.
Something like that. Yeah, so like it was really cool at that time for bands to be Southern rock. Like metalcore bands to be Southern rock. So you had like Mainly in the Sons of Disaster. You had Inhale Exhale went Southern rock for a while. The Showdown went Southern for a while.
The Showdown. I forgot about those guys.
The Showdown, yeah. Cheesy. But yeah, so like everybody was Southern rock at the time. But my God, did He Is Legend blow it out of the park. I mean, like, the biggest issue everybody had with this record was that the singing was different. It was more rock. It was more butt rock for Geoff.
Yes.
And it was more Southern. And it encompassed a lot of things that I claim to hate about Phil from Pantera, but it was very Southern drawl, but there was this growl behind it. And it had this grit that I just couldn't let go. I mean, right from the get-go, Virginia Wolf is just so... It's a sequel to The Seduction off of I Am Hollywood, and it functions in that respect in every way. Right down to the ending screams of "You know you want it," you know, like it's just awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they do these little wordplay of lyric plays where they throw back to a different song and
right
in the same album, and then kind of it's a carry on from previous stuff. Yeah, it's
well. So like when I listen to this, I feel like I'm in the Deep South.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you have to walk 15 miles to get to the local general store. Like a very mountain moonshine making type of community, and again, just like the previous albums, it's a little rapey. And he says, "If I cannot have you, no one will," and it just gets a little uncomfortable in places. There's a song called "Electronic Throat" where he's all like, "I brought you into this world, and I will take you out, baby girl." It's one of my favorite songs on the record. It's just so Southern.
That song is so good.
It's like Skinner on cocaine. I mean, it's insane.
See, when I think of this album, I don't think Southern rock. I think of Canadian rock, and I think Theory of a Dead Man.
Ugh. No.
Oh, dude,
you couldn't be more wrong in your opinion.
But that's the direction I start feeling it's going. That's all I'm saying.
You're this close.
No, you mean the next album. You mean It Hates You. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it's moving in that direction. And just, man, I don't know. I had a hard time on this one. A really hard time.
I said it took me a little while to get into it, only because the style did change, I would say, pretty drastically.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine bought it in we had it in college, and he would play it all the time at our tailgate parties. We'd always try to play some metal, something heavy, and we all loved He Is Legend at the time. But at first I was kind of like, man, this is, I don't know, it was different, but it took me a while to get into it, and then eventually I really really kind of clicked with me. because I love riffs, man, and Atom is just a riff machine.
Fest, man.
I don't care. I mean, sometimes I just care how good are your riffs, and there's all kinds of fucking riffs on this album.
No joke,
dude. Mushroom River.
Yeah, I mean,
Mushroom River is one of the heaviest rock songs I've ever heard in my life.
I love the album.
Yeah.
I think that if they would have put out another I Am Hollywood, they wouldn't really be. I don't know what would have happened, because I feel like that sound was ending.
It was,
and this, not that this wasn't becoming a thing like you mentioned. The metalcore bands were going this direction, but I think they did it better than everybody else that put an album out like this,
for sure.
I think
this really had the atmosphere.
They always have their own. There's a He Is Legend flavor. There's a vibe, and I always feel like when I listen to He Is Legend, I'm just like drenched with just vibe and attitude, atmosphere. Like they just, I don't know, something about their music. Like, it's He Is Legend, whether you like it or not. Like this is a He Is Legend song. The riffs are there, lyrics are there, vocals, and the vocals changed on this album too, and that was a big thing to listen to.
So good, and like his singing, I think is really top notch on Suck Out the Poison. More so than it had been ever before. Like, if you listen to songs like the Potbelly Goddess, he sounds amazing on that. And like, like Geoff said, it's a little mainstream. It's a little butt rock.
Totally. It definitely is.
But it's okay because, like, again, I always say that He Is Legend is a lyric band because.
That's my disconnect.
You listen to Electronic Throne, and it's like there must have been a mix-up and.
Along the way.
He's along the way, girl,
I must have made a mistake. Now listen closely to what I'm gonna say. If you cross me, I'll cut you. Like, I don't know. It's just like the lyrics fit in with the atmosphere of the album.
I just feel like every time when I listen to Skylar sing and the lyrics he writes, I just feel like that is him. Like have you ever listened to him talk or you've seen him live? He's just like this charismatic dude, and I feel like it comes across in the way he sings.
Yeah,
Especially on this album. Starting on this album forward. He really just puts his persona in the album.
Yeah. Like, I feel like this record is kind of more of a realization of him as a person than we had even gotten on I Am Hollywood. I feel like I Am Hollywood, while still being a great record, was kind of derivative of the music of the time. Whereas
I think so.
Suck Out the Poison, I mean, it was, sure, it might have been derivative in that everybody was going Southern, but like you said, nobody really did it like He Is Legend did. You have it's like fat, heavy, fucking Skinner riffs playing, and it was just it was derivative, sure, but like I feel like it captured more of what the band was trying to do.
Yep,
and you can see that more so than the previous albums really gave them the ability to do so.
And you can hear that going forward. I mean, what they did moving on, it became darker. You said the tempos were a little slower, the grooves were bigger. Yeah. I feel like the grooves, just the whole thing. I don't know how to put it into words, but like every time I listen to them, I feel like a weight, like it's heavy. The grooves are there; it's like thick.
Yeah, I feel taken away, like somewhere else.
I feel like I'm in a
past life or something. Just this whole like, especially in Suck Out the Poison, it's just this like mountain man kind of vibe, that it gives off, and it's just phenomenal. Said Mushroom River is really great. Potbelly Goddess is great, and
for sure,
like Curse of the Dungeon or Attack of the Dungeon Witch.
Yeah, and this
Virginia
album,
Woolf. I mean, it never ends.
It's heavier than I think. Sorry to cut you off. It's heavier than I remember it being. Even when I go back and listen to it, it's like, wow, this is a lot heavier than I even thought it was.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, not like a heavy in a metal sense, like heavy, like just sonically has a weight.
No,
to it.
I think it is in a metal sense because like it's not usual on our show to talk about bands like He Is Legend because it is more firmly rooted in rock.
Definitely.
But you look at albums like Suck Out the Poison, and it's actually very metal.
Yeah,
like it's heavy. It's aggressive. It's uncompromising. It makes people uncomfortable. I mean, look at China White Part 2. That is
for sure.
One of the most uncomfortable songs to listen to ever.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of like true crime and like, serial killers and stuff like that. So like a song like that I actually find enjoyable, but it's kind of fucked up that I find it enjoyable. So
I know that Skylar's really into that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I when I saw them, I talked to him a little bit about some true crime stuff, and his dad and his brother are both private investigators.
Oh wow!
So he's all about this shit. Like
Right.
he's just all about the true crime, and so I mean, once you know that, you're like, oh, it probably informs a lot of his lyrical content and stuff, especially that song, you know.
So in your opinion, what do you think the China White songs are about?
I don't know. I mean,
No pressure.
I mean, I've thought about it, but I don't think too much about it. Sometimes his lyrics are a little not guarded, but they're kind of indifferent. They go in different directions. I don't know exactly. I wouldn't say I even know what that song is about.
I mean,
The only reason why Dan's asking me is because he doesn't know himself.
The way I'm hearing it is, I'm defaulting to a superior podcaster. So like, for me, it sounds like a fucking home invasion. You know, like China White Part 2. Part 1's really ambiguous. Part 2, I mean, little girl standing there with your daddy's skin and your mama's hair. Like,
yeah, it's fucked, isn't it?
It's terrifying. Like, it's weird too because they keep going on about like I'm your gardener, and they say
what does
like,
that mean? Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
who's the fucking gardener? I want to know.
Please, you know, the man with the roses that grow from his hands. You know, it's like, and he's like, I'm your gardener, and then you listen to like the original China White. He's like, I am your gardener. You know, it's like really messed up, and like I can't figure out if like the little girl and the mother and the father are plants, and like somebody's like harvesting the plants.
Yeah, maybe it's
or
also
if it's about like a really fucking like if it's about like a real home invasion, you know, like. And it's weird too because I loved that song so much when I was younger.
Yeah.
But now that I'm a dad and I have like two little girls, you know, like it's creepy as all shit. You know, like
some of that true crime stuff. It's like I can't even.
Your
can't even
daddy should have brought his gun. You know, like what the hell is that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That is interesting. He has he writes dark shit sometimes. And you're right in the metal sense. I mean, that's the lyrics are definitely
oh yeah,
they're fucked up out there, man.
Super metal.
I mean, metal for me. I told you I don't have the same metal upbringing as most people. Like when I think metal, I don't think most metal. Like I don't know.
It's okay, man.
The what do you call it? The seminal metal bands from the 80s and 90s. I don't even consider them. I don't know. I don't listen to most of them. I didn't grow up with them.
I grew up listening to Christian metal, man. I feel it. You know,
I listened to the Black album and then I listened to Load and Reload and then I was like, oh, I should probably check out the other stuff. I mean, like, that's where I'm at.
Right.
Mid-90s.
Sure.
You know? So that's when I say something's heavy, like to me, this is heavy. Like that's what I think.
It is. I mean,
is.
would you say that Suck Out the Poison is the heaviest He's Legend album?
I would say it's. Let me think. I think overall, from song to song, yes, but their heaviest songs I don't think are on this album, but it's their heaviest album from track one to the end.
Well, the heaviest He Is Legend song is definitely That's Nasty, right?
Yeah. Dude, wait till we get to It Hates You. I will probably take.
Oh my god, dude! Like it's gonna get so
that.
fanboy in here about It Hates You.
Speaking of It Hates You, most deceptive album cover of all time.
Yeah, totally.
I look at this album cover with this cutout of a UFO, an ostrich head, labels from a label maker.
You love it.
And I think, okay, what alternative rock fake grunge is this from the 90s? I was wrong.
Not a bad description, actually.
No, this again is I think where they start. They've come out of their southern rock again, and like I feel like they've taken influence. Everything they've put out gets kind of recycled and built into what they're working on at the moment. So you get parts of everything, but then you get a different direction. They take it in a different direction. This album is my favorite He Is Legend album.
It is mine as well.
It's probably in my top 10 albums of all time. I mean, no, I'm not joking. It's just I've listened to it so many times. And this is when I really reached the pinnacle, like the peak of my like, wow, this is one of my favorite bands ever. Was when I heard this album.
It is mine as well.
It's just great.
No, I totally understand. I totally understand though. Like, it is equal parts hard rock, equal parts metal. There is no hardcore in this. This is nothing like I Am Hollywood. Like we've gone completely off the map. Yep. And like Geoff said, it really kind of falls into like the butt rock category. But for whatever reason, like I'm so like seduced by this band that I don't care.
Exactly.
Like it carries on. Like, I mean, the humor is still there. The weird lyrics are still there. I mean, like the song Everybody I Know Has Fangs.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, cuts me deep, when I listen to it. It's so heavy for rock. It's so uncompromising. It's weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you digest the lyrics. It's just like you're like as a guy like surrounded by vampires, or like what is the deal? They don't really scream on this record like they did on the previous ones.
Not really. No, only in a few spots.
Yeah, and I'm like
at the end of Everyone I Know Has Fangs, like
right.
But it almost makes that part even more stand out because it's like it has an emphasis on it.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm superficial enough to say that like, oh, they're not screaming anymore. I don't like it, but
yeah,
I mean, it hates you like grab me by the balls.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 100% on board.
And it's very melodic too. There's a lot. His vocals again. I think his singing. Not that it was bad before, but it's improving. It's taking another turn. He's using it differently. I think he's taking himself and again his personality is really starting to come through on this stuff. Because he's so charismatic. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever seen him live, but he is just like you cannot not watch the dude.
Oh yeah. He's very animated.
I don't know what it is about it, but maybe that's all part of this thing. But
sure,
I think again this album was. It's just the bass, the way the bass sounds. That's probably every time I try to record bass or I record any bass parts, like I try to match Matt Williams' bass tone. Like that's what I just love the way his bass sounds.
So beefy,
and the drums sound good. I remember reading reviews of it, telling everybody was saying that the drums were, it sounds so compressed. Everything sounds so compressed, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I got bad ears, but I think it sounds fucking great.
I don't think
great.
It sounds compressed.
I would say this is a raw album. I mean, as far as I don't think it's overproduced. I don't think anything they've done. I think they were more overproduced on I Am Hollywood than they are now.
Dude, the bass on It Hates You rules the record.
Yeah, it's so good. And I've told that I'm not trying to like name drop, but I really did. I had these conversations with them when I saw them. I told Matt Williams that I said your bass on It Hates You is like the best thing ever in the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so good. It's so full.
And I'm not a big bass guy, but like, I mean, I can't really listen to it. Not give credit,
That's probably one of the first times I was like, oh wow, the bass is important. I mean, as much I'm a guitar player, I don't really think about it, but that album has just bass.
Do we know if more than one person in the band is a primary songwriter? Because He Is Legend is the only metal band or heavy band that I can think of that from song to song, you get distinctive differences in the songwriting style, especially on the earlier records. Yeah. It's almost like a John and Paul thing. Like you almost you can tell like, okay, whoever wrote this is not the same person that wrote the last song. And that like everyone I know Has Fangs to Stranger Danger, not the same feel.
Not at all.
They don't even feel the same. Somebody brought that idea to practice and said, okay, we're going with that.
Are we not going to talk about Mean Shadows?
Dude, that's one of the best songs in the world. Oh. That whole song. That's like one of my favorite songs ever. Best song in the album.
Oh, so good.
It's so good. Oh, Jinx, man.
Right, sorry.
No, it's okay.
It really is. I feel like we're on the same, wavelength. Yeah.
You've got 6.5 minutes. Talk about Mean Shadow.
Right. Oh my God. First of all, it's Mean Shadows with an S.
Yes, it's not a Mean Shadow. It's Mean Shadows, man.
Probably the rapiest He Is Legend song ever. You can kick and scream if you feel better, but you'll never get away. Yeah. Oh my God! It is also the heaviest He Is Legend song ever. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the last album, Suck Out the Poison, was probably the most consistently heavy. And this song has heavy parts, but it also has very like upbeat Some of the songs that are on this album are really like not happy, but like melodic, and they're they're major chords and shit.
Yeah,
I mean, this song is just like fucking hammer down, especially like the second half of it.
Oh yeah, especially where it's like really melodic towards the end. And he's like, "Don't you turn out the light? Don't plan on shutting my eyes." Some things go bump in the night. Yeah, like I mean, it's just it affects me on a level that I didn't think that I had. Like, cause like
I got goosebumps, man. I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
Mean, up until I heard this song, I didn't really consider myself a rock fan. I'm a metal guy. Right. I listen to metal, right? But like,
yeah, man,
this song just got under my skin in a way that I haven't experienced since then, and it did it in such a way that like when we got to the next He Is Legend album, Heavy Fruit, it still stayed under my skin, and like by all intents and purposes, that's a record I shouldn't like.
Yeah, they've gone in another direction too.
Yeah,
after that.
Oh my god, I love it. Like
even I think "Don't Touch That Dial," just to name a few of my favorite songs. That song is awesome. I mean, God, they're all good. I mean, I could listen to this album repeatedly, never change a song. Look forward to the next one. I don't know.
This is undoubtedly my favorite album. Like I
said, it's my favorite album, and I love what they're doing now. And their most recent album is great too. But I just love this album. I love the feel of it. It's like very cutting. Like it doesn't. It's just very everything. Every aspect musically is sharp. Like the guitars are sharp. The bass is heavy and full, and the drums are really like punchy, and the vocal, everything. And again, probably top 10 all time. I mean, I put it in one of my favorite albums ever.
I can't disagree at all.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, you'll never hear any. I won't say anything bad about He Is Legend. I don't think I could do it.
No,
I just don't think I could.
It's impossible. They're amazing.
Sure, it is, but I
understand. No, I understand where there could be some disconnect. Like if you're listening to it and you're like, I don't get it. I think this sucks. I totally understand. No, I'm just saying. Like, I get it.
I think the biggest thing for me, surprisingly, is like the vocal harmonies and stuff like that. It goes. That it's just way too mainstream rock for me, I guess is what it is. Because musically, it's not as mainstream as whenever they're doing all of the layered vocals.
Read the lyrics, fucker.
I told you
nothing mainstream about this at all.
I'm talking about the sound. The lyrics, you already know. I'm not sit down and read the lyrics when I buy the CD.
Sounds like your problem.
Well, I'm an atmospheric guy. Like I put the CD in, I close my eyes, and I try to have an emotional response to what I'm hearing, and it just like right now, what we're hearing right now with the vocals, it jars me. It
really,
I
mean, does everything for you have to be like,
no, absolutely not. Like there's plenty of stuff I like with clean vocals. I mean, my God, my as a little teeny tiny guy, I was a Michael Jackson fan before I was anything else. So, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I'm a little older than everybody else in the room, so I was a kid when Thriller came out, and that was the first album I bought. So I mean, yeah, I do like clean vocals. It doesn't all have to be screaming for me.
Okay.
It's just the like I said, it's the layered of the vocals. It's not my thing.
Geoff, ironically, the name of this song is "This Will Never Work" off of Heavy Fruit.
I think that I think that Geoff, for you, I think you just need more time, man.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know because
these songs are going to get under your skin, whether you want them to or not.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I'm normally not the contrarian. It's normally Dan's job, but the last 2 weeks I've been the one that's been poo-pooing everything while everybody else is having a party, and I've been sitting in the corner brooding like I'm some little emo bitch. But yeah, that's. That's kind of how I feel. I'm like, I just don't like anything.
Did we do an Under Oath episode already?
I'm going to try not to, but yeah.
Heavy Fruit, 2014.
Oh my God, Heavy Fruit. So like, I could not have had lower expectations for this because when He Is Legend went into the studio to record It Hates You, I kind of felt like they could never do anything better than that. Like, I kind of felt that way about Suck Out the Poison, and then I heard It Hates You, and I was like, okay, it's all good. But, like, can they do it 3 times in a row? And the only answer I have is yes. Like, I was hooked from the very beginning. This record is like, it's different than It Hates You. It's like pure sludge. Like, from beginning to end. I mean, it's like stoner rock almost. And
quite the weed aficionados.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I you know, like, for sure. And I really I love this record because it was like almost more so than It Hates You. It was like he's finally being like honest about how he views the world, you know, like, and I can't, even to this day, I still can't get past it. I mean, I know they put out a new record since then, but I'm like still really stuck on Heavy Fruit.
Yeah, I think this is when I start to notice again every album that they've come out with, and this is what I like when bands do this, and that maybe this is one of the reasons that I like everything they come out with. I feel like their progression, they're still at an upward trajectory. I mean,
oh yeah.
Again, I'm so biased. It's not even funny. I love the band, and I always have pretty good expectations, and they always meet them. They've met them every time, so I feel like, hey, these guys are just a good band, and I like them a lot, and I'll buy everything they put out. Mm-hmm. But their trajectory has been, you know, like it never, like I don't ever feel like it plateaus. Like, okay,
no, I feel like it only gets better.
Yeah, I think this is another step in that direction of like they get every time they put out an album, there's more and more like just overall He Is Legend vibe all over it. Like they're almost finding themselves now. What 10 years later? At this point, it would have been what 7 years later.
Sure.
No,
and
Heavy Fruit was 14. I'm thinking so 14. So yeah, I mean they've been a band for a long time, and they've come out of that metalcore sound, the southern rock sound.
Yeah.
They put out It Hates You, and then they took a hiatus. So who knows what they were into at that point?
Right. A lot of weed.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then this album, I just showed. This album and Few, which we'll talk about. This album feels like He Is Legend. I don't know how to explain that, but when I think He Is Legend now, I don't even think about 91025 or I'm Hollywood, or really, I mean, I kind of think about Suck Out the Poison now. I feel like right then is like, I almost don't even think back to that. I think back to like It Hates You and Heavy Fruit are like, that's the band that they are, and that's what they've become, and that's what they're trying to get to. And they had to work out they had to navigate through the scenes, and then they've come out of it. And I think this is what He Is Legend is.
I feel like from It Hates You on, there's no gimmick.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. And the lyrics are starting to become a little bit more open, personal,
more real. Still rapey.
He's not exactly very rapey.
Yeah. But yeah, like there's no gimmick. It's not like, okay, well, here's the melodic singing part, and then now we're gonna go into screaming breakdowns, heavy stuff.
Is that a shot at me?
No.
Back to the clean singing too. Like I guess I've never felt that Skylar was a clean singer. He's always had a little bit of a grit to his singing voice.
Oh yeah, especially on Suck Out the Poison. I mean, he was just pure grit.
I think that was a big change. I mean, not to go back to that album, I know we just covered it, but and he's clear. He's almost like he's clearing back up a little bit too. Maybe he realized that. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. Maybe he realized he was. He didn't like the way he sounded, but I think it fit that album perfectly.
Oh my God, yeah, it did.
But I think his vocals have always been. I just know it's him, and I like that I know that I'm hearing what he sounds like and like who he is comes through in his singing. I've always liked that about them.
Well, and it's like more of a realization. Like, I mean, not to bring the In Flames stuff up again, but like, like
God, Geoff, hit the dirt.
In this case, it was justifiable. Like, it made sense that like maybe It Hates You on was more honest about what their influences were.
Yeah.
Than the previous records. Whereas, like, with a band like In Flames, it's like, you're clearly just doing this to try to sell records.
Yes, I don't think that He Is Legend is doing that.
Yeah, I don't feel that way.
They might have found a...
If anything, they've sold fewer records.
Yeah.
Because they don't sound like I Am Hollywood anymore.
Yeah, I think people still think that I Am Hollywood is, the only album that He Is Legend ever put out. Oh, those guys are still around? And it's like, and I think they're getting better.
Yeah, I think they put out a solid gold,
I just think that they sound better. They've at this album, this point, And I always like everything that they do, and I've always been the same way with Incubus. Is like for 6 months I'm like, oh, they suck now, and then I'm like, wait a second,
Yeah.
like they've just kind of had a different angle, and you're like, no, they're still kick ass. But
I understand. Yeah.
except for if not now when that Incubus album should just be gone. Take it off the map. Doesn't exist. Sorry, not to go in that direction, but
I was kind of done during Light Grenades, but that's just because there's a certain part of me that only listens to death metal. So
yeah,
it's
you can
hard
only go
to-
so far. You can only go so far away from that.
I mean, and I can get as far as like the latest He Is Legend album, with that mindset.
Speaking of the latest He Is Legend album,
You ready to hear Joe's input on all this?
no, you don't want to hear it on Few.
Oh, I do.
This is the one I'm not a fan of.
Really?
I don't know why. He Is Legend progresses.
I gotta stand up for this.
Oh, I like it.
over the 10 years of records they were putting out. And I mentioned it earlier, they kind of progressively slow down as they go. You can hear on each record another influence sneak in. There's times in Suck Out the Poison where I hear Showbread, and I never hear that again. There's definitely times in Suck Out the Poison where I hear them, at least I think they're making fun of Mudvayne, because that was a thing. I get to, Heavy Fruit, and my response was somebody was listening to Truthless Heroes when they mixed this, because I'm not going to say they wrote it listening to Truthless Heroes. And then I got to Few, and I'm like, I don't know if they just took too much time off or if they ran out of energy. You commonly hear that bands that are very intense over a period of time, the fans point out that record, that's where you lost me, or it feels wrong. It doesn't feel the same anymore. If they were more commercial, I would accuse them of being commercialized and not putting as much effort into it. But
How can you listen to a song like Sand
Oh yeah.
and not be like completely moved? Like you have no soul at that point.
I think I still had I Am Hollywood on the brain, honestly. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to give it another listen.
Granted,
or 7.
this guy and this guy have had a week to figure it out.
Yeah, you can tell that we've been.
I've
listening
had like
since
10
the
plus
get-go.
years. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like I've grown up with the band, and when it's kind of getting to this point with this album. I mean, to me, I love it because I've listened to their progression, and it feels like a logical step.
It does.
I feel like that's again. I think this is the band that they're becoming, and they've been heading in this direction since Suck Out the Poison.
I agree.
It Hates You was I don't know how it's just they have a feel to them. Like they know what kind of band they are, and I think they're starting to write songs that they really want to write, and they're not really concerned about like what scene. What would you kind of what genre would they fit in? What scene? I would just call it rock. It's rock and roll.
Yeah, rock, hard rock. Yeah,
it's hard rock. I mean, like this is what hard rock should be. It's got melody. There's catchy. There's some catchy songs. He writes catchy melodies. And the songs fit. They're short. They're not super long. I mean, there's nothing really over. I mean, the very last song was 6 minutes, but
right.
I mean, I don't know. I dig it, but I can see that if you just went from I Am Hollywood to this in a week, then it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
And I've said that the members have changed, but the core is there. I mean, really, it's the three of them are the core. But yeah, I mean, I think they're just finding out who they are.
I don't mind bands, stepping out and going in different directions and trying new things. That's always that's an important thing to me as I'm going through a band's discography. I don't want the same, repetitive thing over and over again. It's just whenever they moved, it was really whenever they went to the Southern Rock thing that just it lost me. But like you guys said, I only had a week to figure it out, and I did. I probably listened to each album 6 times in the past week. So I've done a lot of listening because I've been trying to like it. Because normally I can figure out pretty quickly why I do or don't have a connection. Like it was easy for me to say why I didn't care for Callisto. I've been pretty silent this episode because I don't have any genuine input because it's been a tough one for me to figure out on why I just I'm not a big fan of them, other than the fact that they do have that mainstream rock vibe, and I think that's kind of that's. But I just view that's the cop out answer. I want to be.
I agree with you though.
I want to be able to. Yeah, I want to be able to give more in depth than that, but I can't. I just don't know. I don't know exactly how I feel yet. Even with me listening to this band more in a compressed time than I did with any other band in our episodes.
It takes a minute.
Yeah, I think so.
To really sink in. I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I first heard It Hates You, I was kind of like, why is it not metal like Suck Out the Poison was?
Yeah, they're different albums.
Yeah, but over time, it really grew on me.
I think that's the case too, because I can listen to all their albums now, and even going back further, it's like I said, it's kind of like it's weird. I kind of stop at like I Am Hollywood has great songs on it, but like overall as a record, like it's not even one of the top ones for me. But because I like what they've gone into, and I feel like to listen to Suck Out the Poison, it's definitely like an exaggerated. It's what they're doing now on steroids. Like it really exaggerated the southern rock vibe. It was really not over the top, but it was. You could hear it, and you're like, this is a southern metal record.
It was ham-fisted, yeah.
So like it's sometimes things go so far one direction and to overcorrect themselves. Like they did that and they probably went, hey, that sounded cool. We like that style. And then they kind of gravitated more back towards like the center, but they went out there and grabbed that vibe.
Oh yeah.
Brought it back into what they used to do. So you kind of have this combination of psychedelic, sludgy, melodic, catchy rock songs.
I think they always wanted to be a rock fan.
I think right now that this is the band that they wanted to be. I think right now is where they're at, and I feel like they're hitting their stride. I mean, they're on a pretty good sized label. They're getting a lot of push. I mean, they still sell records. They crowdfunded this album and they exceeded their goal. I mean, they did it on their own.
Yeah.
So I mean, like they still have a fan base, and then I feel like right now they're getting to be their biggest. Maybe I don't know how to explain it. But I feel like they have the most attention on them.
Sure.
Since I Am Hollywood, at least.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they're right where they want to be. I think this is the band that they want to be. Is this album, Few, and Heavy Fruit are right there, and then It Hates You on the back end of that. But I just the direction they're going in is it's cool with me. But I love them.
I was actually, because I use Spotify, and I just going through the, it gives you the top 5 plays of each song. And that was actually one thing I was rather surprised. I thought because of this style of music, and I will give them that they do this style of music really, really well. It's just not for me, at least not yet. I thought they'd have a whole lot more listens. I was kind of surprised that they don't have anything over 1 million listens on Spotify.
There's a lot of people that really want just I Am Hollywood.
Yep.
Again and again and again and again.
So in other words, it's all those post-hardcore people that don't want people to change their style. And
they just want what they want.
And they've kind of gotten pigeonholed with that, and everything that they've done since then. It's just not catching on yet. I don't know.
Sure, I mean,
this sound is like the sound that should be popular. This is what most of mainstream, hard rock radio would be. This sounds exactly what they'd want to pick up and put it in rotation, and put it in heavy rotation at that.
Well, it was the same thing with As Cities Burn, They had a screaming vocalist, and then he quit, and then they went to like a more singy, like punk indie style, and nobody gave a shit. And I feel like He Is Legend is criminally underrated because people aren't listening to the new stuff.
I agree. I mean, if they followed the progression, I bet a lot of people dropped off after I Am Hollywood and said, I don't want to do the southern metal thing. This is kind of a little cheesy.
Yeah.
Which I would understand if you didn't like it and that was your reasoning. Like, that makes total sense. That was a big departure.
Yeah.
Well, see, I like the people that... Go ahead.
I said the people that grabbed a hold of, Suck Out the Poison were like, all right, I'm going to take the ride with you. I don't know where we're going. But this isn't I Am Hollywood, which I loved, and Suck Out the Poison is weird, but I'll give it time. And then once you listen to it, you're like, oh, I Am Hollywood is in there, but it doesn't sound the same. I mean, it's all in there.
I feel like it's a different band at this point.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, like the music is in. You'll find similarities. I mean, they're there, but you got to be willing to go. Well, okay, I got to listen to some southern metal. and I just want to listen to like, you know, the metalcore bands of the time. I mean, I can see how they could shake people off with that. Maybe they wanted to, and
right.
They've kind of said, come on with us. We're going to go in a different direction. And
Yeah.
You can take it or not.
You know, the interesting thing is I don't really like necessarily hate like the hard Southern rock stuff. Like I like Blackstone Cherry. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not. But yeah. I mean, and I guess you could pretty much consider them like a pretty hard Southern rock kind of feel. I don't know. Maybe I just need to listen to it more, like you guys say, and
maybe
my mind will change.
Sure.
You might just have an appreciation again for like the just the atmosphere of it. Even if you wouldn't like it, but you can say that like they're their own thing.
Yeah,
they
I might enjoy the follow-up to this episode where Geoff sees the light. Yeah.
I'll come back on and just sit back and listen to your revelations.
Yeah.
That's fine if it happens. I'm more than happy to. I'd much rather be in love with a band than not. I'm not one of those that I hate everything type of people. I want to love everybody and everything. So the fact that I couldn't.
Damn hippie.
Yes, I am. I'm a total hippie that loves metal. So figure that one out.
Oh, it's an interesting perspective though to be here a band that I love and I've always loved and will always love, and I'll buy everything they put out, to hear the complete opposite and be like, I don't get it. And I'm like, how do you don't? I mean, I just like to hear the idea that it doesn't click with everybody, and that's the cool part about music, is that it's not everybody's got their own taste, and it's cool to hear other perspectives on it. So I totally respect that. I think you're crazy, but I respect that.
That's quite right. Yeah.
Oh, I very much think he's wrong, but yeah.
Yeah,
See,
most of the stuff I listen to relax to is like weird futuristic spaceship,
right?
Technical metal. So
I love space. I got a sweet spot for space.
I might say something about that a little later.
Here's the one thing that I heard you say, Dan. You mentioned that when Geoff said he didn't get it, you said, read the lyrics.
Yeah.
Should I have to?
Yeah, you should.
See, that's where we strongly disagree. I
no,
look for the
dude,
feel.
it's okay. It's one thing to be a passive listener. You know, anybody can fucking, put a disc in and listen to it.
But that takes me out of the element. I look I'm saying what it does for me. I'm not saying what it does for you.
No, because the element is the finished product.
Well, that's because you're a lead singer. You're looking at specifically at the lyrics, specifically at the lead vocalist. I'm looking at it as a collective whole as a band.
I'm not just looking at the lead vocalist. I can analyze music just because I don't play guitar. Okay.
But
I'm just
that's
saying
the
what
thing.
you're leaning
You
at.
said it's about the final product.
Yeah.
So why should I have to read the lyrics to get the final product?
Because you can listen to the guitar and you can absorb it on a fundamental level, like a mental level, an unconscious level. But I think the lyrics really play a lot into that. And for me, good lyrics are lyrics that accentuate what you're hearing.
I know what you're saying. I would say I'm not really a lyric guy either myself. I mean, it's not a make or break thing. When I was like, I mean, when I say younger, I mean like maybe, let's say in my 20s, like if you didn't have a message with your song, like if you weren't trying to like fuck the system, then what are you doing? What's your point? Like why do I want to waste my time with you? Eventually, years went by. I kind of got away from that and was like, if the song's cool, it's cool, whatever. You sing about whatever you want. And I'm not necessarily a lyrics guy, but I would agree. So I agree with you that you shouldn't. The lyrics shouldn't be an important part of a good song, but they can be. And in this case, in He Is Legend's case, I think they are part of the band. Like they make up, a quarter or whatever percentage you want to put on it. Yeah, it's all part of the overall vibe and sound is because of what Skylar does. It's what Adam does, what Matt does. I mean, like it's all there. It's the package. So I agree with you that the lyrics are important for this band, but they're not necessarily important for every song that's good. So I'm like right in the middle.
I agree. I mean, all these people that listen to Pantera, there's no way that the lyrics are important.
Do we need to have Erik back and he can defend Pantera too?
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
I can do a little defense.
Now, here's the thing, though. What I said was, why should I have to read the lyrics? This is the old black metal argument. Just because you put a lyric sheet in there doesn't mean it adds to the song when all you're doing is going, ah! It's like, no, you didn't say, I'll have a cheeseburger with fries. I don't care what you write down. You didn't say that. So why do I have to sit and read the lyrics to get He Is Legend?
Because I think I think some of the cheesier stuff that they do is a little bit more tongue in cheek.
Yeah, I would agree.
Then, Geoff hears it and he hears Theory of a Dead Man.
Yeah.
But maybe they were trying to sound like Theory of a Dead Man because it was funny or because it was ironic.
I've never had that comparison in my mind. I've never really listened to Theory of a Dead Man, though. I know what they sound like, but I wouldn't say that.
But you're missing out on it because you don't get it.
I think if you got it, it would absorb into you. The lyrics you'd start to hear the lyrics and be like, oh, that's kind of funny the way he put that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's part of like his wordplay is funny. And then the more you hear it, the more you understand his lyrics. You're like,
and maybe that was part of my problem. I did not focus on the lyrics.
But that takes time. That's
when it's not rapey, it's hilarious. Yeah.
No, there's lyrics in there that I think I hear now that I didn't even hear before, and I kind of like chuckle at because just the way he puts certain things, it's very him. Like I told you, I hear him. Like I feel like I know who he is based on his lyrics and the way he is. Like he's not putting up front. He is not fronting at all.
Right.
And his lyrics are an extension of his personality. So that's why I feel like it's part of this band's.
He's a comedian.
Yeah. I would think so.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, I'm going to go ahead and say, for you, final thoughts on He Is Legend.
I would say my final thoughts are I'm glad that they are a band that still exists from an era that was important to me. The early 2000s, metalcore was a scene that I fell into with some of the heavier stuff that I'd heard at the time. It was big in my upbringing musically as a guitar player and otherwise. And it was cool to latch onto that and then take the ride with them as they've gotten, I wouldn't say off into a different sound, but they've gone in a different direction. I've followed them that whole way. I think it's influenced the way I play guitar, the way I look at music, and just my overall attitude towards a lot of things musically. And I think that I would say they're probably one of the most, like you said, Dan, criminally underrated. I feel like more people should know about them. The guitar playing is excellent. The lyrics are great. The band is, they're a solid band, and I feel like they found themselves on the last several albums. Last 2 albums. This is the band that they want to be, and I'm looking forward to where they go in the future. And I'm just excited that they're out. They exist. I mean, I'm a fanboy. I wouldn't hide that. I don't have any bad things to say about them. And that's it. Hopefully, I portrayed my love for the band over the course of this hour or so.
Geoff, I'm going to take a guess and say, are your final thoughts, I don't get it, but I'm trying really, really hard?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be the rotten meat in this bologna sandwich here because, yeah.
Well, as long as it's bologna, I'm still eating it.
There's a lot of things I don't get. I don't get why they're not popular because I think they have a very popular style, a very popular sound. They should be, they should be doing the whole arena circuit if you ask me. But that's also a sound that I'm not a big fan of either. So I mean, it's kind of weird on how I'm looking at it. But yeah, I don't get it. For me, it doesn't do anything for me emotionally. But then again, I also didn't check the lyrics, so that's partly my fault. But I also don't get why they're not popular because they got a really nice, southern rocky, polished vibe to them that, it sounds like they should be famous, I guess is what maybe part of the reason why I put that comparison to like Theory of the Dead Man, because I kind of get the same, the first initial feel is fairly similar, for me. It's just like, hey, here's this guy with these raspy vocals and this, these bluesy riffs, but it's overall, it's, pretty heavy rock. And I was like, that's why I made that comparison to Theory of a Dead Man. But yeah, it just not my thing, but that's okay. I like more, spacey weird crap. So that's more, it's probably more my fault as a listener than it is their issue as a performer. It just, I'm not their target audience is really what it comes down to.
I'm going to defer to Dan after I cheat and say, what band do you like? You should be listening to He Is Legend. Dan, your final thoughts.
I think if you're not into what He Is Legend is throwing down, you might be bedridden.
Because Dan's going to come to your house.
And
He's going to break my kneecaps.
And potentially deaf.
No, I like death.
No, deaf.
Oh, death. Oh.
So, I think with He's Legend, what it really boils down to, it's like, 'cause like I'm a predominantly metal guy. Like Geoff, I like space music. I like kind of melodic out there. Not necessarily what's like popular on top 40 radio, but there's a certain passion to He's Legend that is really I'm unable to ignore. And I think they lay a really solid foundation for what hard rock could be. Because, yeah, sure, if you want to compare it to Theory of a Dead Man or whatever, like, I think those comparisons are valid, but I think from a lyrical perspective, I like the return of songs that I have to, like, think about and songs that I have to, like, really dissect and really do a little bit of the legwork myself. And so that's what I like about He's Legend is that I have to really think about it, and it kind of expands my mind beyond just what I think and what I do. So for that, the band gets a free pass, even for not necessarily being metal all the time, but kind of providing something for me that nobody else really provides.
Erik, thanks for doing this, man.
I'm glad
fun.
you guys asked me to do it, man. And a perfect band for me to come on and just discuss that I've had so much interaction with musically for so many years, and it's been an important band to me. So it's cool to be able to talk about it in full like this over the course of their career. Yeah, because it's one of my favorite musical career trajectories. I just think where they've gone, where they started, and where they are now is it's one of the few that just keeps like getting better and better. So to come on and talk about the start to now was cool, and I'm glad you guys asked me to do it, and I dig your show, and I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys. It's been fun.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on. Hey, I got to ask one quick question.
Yeah.
And that is, we always try to do our album of the week on what we're enjoying or what we're listening to the most, but since they just had a new release, I'm guessing it might be the new He's Legend album, or you got something else on the burner?
Album of the week. Yep. Let me see what I've most recently listened to. I'm weird about stuff. I told you guys I'm a metal guy. I'm false metal according to Josh Toomey. I'm a poser. I would say the album that most recent.
But Josh is also a bass player, so
yeah, he doesn't count. He doesn't. I mean, he has opinions, but I mean, you just turn him down in the mix. You turn his opinions right down. You know what I mean? Okay, I would say probably my album of the week. I mean, I've listened to some cool stuff and I've found some cool new stuff. But something that that recently came out last it was the weekend before that. Basically, the new 311 album is 311's a band that I've listened to for my forever, and they get a lot of shit, especially in the guitar community, because people think that Tim Mahoney's tone is garbage, and it's not the greatest, but the songs are so good, and I've loved the band forever. So I would say Mosaic, the new 311 album, is probably my favorite new release, and I've probably listened to it the most since it came out. There's a bunch of stuff mixed in there that I've discovered, but new release album of the week, probably 311 Mosaic, I'd have to say.
I'll have to check that out because it's funny that we mentioned them because I talk about how I'm not a big fan of like mainstream music. Well, that's one that I thoroughly enjoy. Grassroots is like,
yeah, man, they're just good.
Oh my God.
Vibes, it's good fun, man. They do summer tours. They're gone every July. They're out playing. They play all the time. They've been around forever. Like they've got a great fan base. People follow them. I mean, it's just,
I've seen them live. They're a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, they play really forever. Are. They play so many songs. They sound great. I've never heard them sound bad. I saw them in college. They played at Central Michigan University, which is totally random, but they played there with Alien Ant Farm, and I've seen them a bunch of times, and just always putting out good albums.
Very cool. What about you, Dan? What do you got for this week?
Not super metal, but At the Drive-In, Inter Alia.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that one. And
I like At the Drive-In, so.
Yeah. It's cool. It's a new album by that band, and they were broke up for a while, and now they're back, and they have a new album, and you should check it out.
Dan and I unboxed the Face Down Records 20 for 20. So I've been listening to Pride of the Wicked by War of Ages.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I know.
Some of the best.
I forget about that, man.
Some of the best rip-off Gothenburg death metal riffing you'll ever hear.
So what?
And I'm enjoying the hell
It's
out
good
of it.
stuff, man. It was back when it was okay to do that.
That's still okay to do that if you ask me, but hey. No, I'm listening
Go listen
to...
to Scar Cemetery.
Oh, I love Scar
Yeah,
Cemetery.
I know you do.
Yeah. No, I there's a new band it's new-ish, at least in the States, from Denmark, and they're called The Interbeing, and then the new album is Among the Amorphous.
I like those guys.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I was listening to that.
Yeah,
Because your recommendation.
Yeah, I texted him in the middle of the week. I said, dude, you got to check this out because it's totally spaced out, real technical metal, and I was like, you're going to love it. Plus, the guy's a baritone. I love that. You don't always get a frontman in metal that are baritones, so I was right there with that one.
I got you, buddy.
All right.
And Eric, Dan's about to repeat it when I say it, but we always like to tell our guests, man, the door is always open. Anytime you want to come back and talk about insert name of band here, you just hit us up, man. And we're down to do this again.
We're totally down, yeah.
Definitely. I'm also down because this was fun. I figured it would be fun, and it was way more fun than I thought it would be. And I thought it was going to be a lot of fun. So
I think we just got a new guest host in.
Yeah, sounds good to me, man.
this is perfect too because I'm on my self-imposed summer vacation.
Yes, I thank you so much for coming on whenever you were on your summer vacation.
Yes, I mean the palm trees and Mai Tais are flowing, and
For sure.
Really, I feel like I'm doing more stuff. I just wanted to take a break, take a breather. I've been doing it for like 2 straight years,
Sure.
but I do love it. So to sit down and do podcasts with you guys is like, God damn, I love podcasting. So I mean,
Sure.
it's like took the time off just to recoup and refresh and not worry about scheduling anything. But
Well, look at it this way: you don't have to edit it. I get to do all
I know
that.
that's a beautiful
This
thing.
guy does all the
I just
work.
get to turn the mics off like my guests do.
I just show up and talk. That's the best part.
Yeah.
And drink his beer.
And drink
That's
my beer.
perfect,
Yeah.
And on that note, this has been episode 21 of Discography Discussion. Thank you for listening. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at discussmetal. Subscribe to our podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. Visit discussmetal.com for all things discography discussion. And please send questions and comments to danandjoeshow@gmail.com. If you have not heard Shoot the Shred, you need to check out everything Erik Hall puts out at shredpod.simplecast.fm
You got it.
for some serious shred.
And episode 45, Adam Tambu's from He Is Legend. So check that conversation out.
Yeah, I listened to that the other day. I was like, oh my God, somebody likes He's Legend as much as I do.
Yeah, I did fanboy a little too much on that.